back live at Buddy Bear Car Wash for the preview show for the 2024 SSA Men's 16-inch Class A National Championship Tournament. Jerry Brown.
I'm back, better than ever.
Okay. And 34 teams, Jerry. Should be a lot of fun. 6 from Iowa. And I think it's going to be a crazy weekend.
You know, the A Nationals is always a very enjoyable tournament. And one thing I can always say about the A Nationals, that 95% or 90% of the major players has come through this tournament. So you can go through the Smackouts, the Piscatellis, the CJs, and go on and on. Most of these guys, 90% of the major players have played in this tournament.
That's a true statement. You also see a lot of the major teams have 1 or 2 guys at the tournament checking kids out.
Stealing.
Well, I'd like to be a little more politically correct than that. But, you know, we've both been around. We know that recruiting in 16-inch softball is pretty cutthroat. At Forest Park, you seem to find disgruntled players that are open to the possibility of leaving their teams.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you look at Hardaway, they have a former player on the 45s. Start.
You
look at the other team, the center fielder who won the MVP. Didn't he come from one of these teams? Justin Michael.
Yes. Well, he didn't win the MVP, but he had a very good tournament that year when he was on the Scrubs.
Okay.
And Danny Somalia brought me in that weekend, and I still remember Jeff Fernandez turned around and asked me any good players on that team, and I mentioned Justin's name, and 3 years later he's playing for Flashback. I'm going to be curious because Jeff Mastari's brother Justin is also playing this year in this tournament for Hardaway. So I haven't really seen much of him, so I'm looking forward. I want to see if the genes run deep or not in that family.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, and there's going to, you know, as the weeks start to flash and pop off of the field where you're watching a game and you're like, oh my God, this kid can play.
Yeah.
And I had one manager tell me, stop talking about my player. And I was chuckling. I'm like, dude, you don't think everybody in softball doesn't know who this kid is now?
Yeah.
And so it happens every year, but this is a great launching pad for younger teams and younger kids. Buckethead. It should be one of the events. And the softball is, you know, real competitive. And so we see a lot of, you know, one-run games, walk-off games. And it's just a fun event. So it's going to be at McCaslin Park. We're going to start tomorrow. We know the forecast is a little iffy. It's gotten better in the last day or so. So we're hoping we're going to get a couple of time slots in. If we do get rain tomorrow, you're probably going to end up playing the first set of games on Saturday. So we're going to try to avoid that. There is AstroTurf, so even if you see rain, don't think that we're going to get rained out. It should be an interesting weekend, and I think that, you know, it's going to be fun. So we'll put a graphic up right now, and you can see the past winners. It's also listed on the bracket, and some of these teams you never heard of until they came in and won. I don't think... You know, Vision was a pretty good A team. We had an idea that they were going to be tough. But when No Fear won, and who played on that team? Pops Alejandro.
Yeah, there you go.
And they had some good players that have gravitated in, and they beat the Gladiators, who were stacked up that year, but they lost their first game of the tournament.
Ran right through.
And they ran right through it and ran out of gas. You know, Nature Boys won the tournament. Young Guns, Yep, Smack Out, Hammer the Clan. Some of these teams, you know, continue to improve and get better. And, you know, it's just a lot of fun. We've had 2 teams from Iowa win it, and they got a couple of pretty good teams coming in this year, 6 total, and it should be a ton of fun, to say the least. So we're going to move on here, and we'll get to the upper part of the bracket. So you got Hardway, plain ribs, Snappers and Sauce, Wasted Talent, Goodwood, Los Borrachos, Future, and of course Loose Chains feeds into that's the next slide. We'll get to them.
Right.
So, Hardway went through this tournament last year. They had a decent run. I believe they made it to Sunday, and they were kind of eye-opening. They got some good young players on that team. They do a great job. Jimmy DeVito and Coco running that team. Ribs, we saw them at the B, stands for Run It Back Softball. And
I thought it meant baby back or St. Louis ribs.
But so haven't seen too much of them. But they sure seem like they were excited. They've been around a while. I think the big issue with Snappers is they got some first responders, so we'll see whether or not some of their Saturday time might get, called off by CPD and the various agencies they work for. Brian's done a great job with Sauce. He's been bringing them along the last few years. Had a nice kind of building, and how excited he was the first time he came to the event, and he got hooked. Then we got Wasted Talent, Goodwood, and we've seen Goodwood put some good games together.
Yes.
And they've had some success in the summer series. They haven't been able to, a lot of Team SSA people on that team.
Okay, that always helps.
Yeah, and again, Wasted Talent, another team I haven't really seen a lot of. But they seem like they're excited and into it. What should be a real good game, Los Borrachos and Future.
Yes.
Los Borrachos is on that team as well. So, I think that this upper quarter is up for grabs. I think, you got 3 or 4 teams that might make it to that late game on Saturday. And it's awful hard to predict who might win it.
Anybody out this bracket can win it. But I'm very curious to see that Future Los Borrachos game. I think that might be the team. But then Goodwood, Wasted Talent. Each of these teams can form a case why and who could come out of that bracket. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think whoever's got most of their guys there, it's probably going to be one of the determining factors in terms of the success that they have. It seems like everybody I talk to, we might be missing a guy on Saturday, or we might have a guy might have trouble getting there on a Thursday or a Friday. So a lot of times in tournament.
Yeah, it always helps and gives the manager a lot of leeway to do what he can do best, and that's manage the team with his full complement of players.
Absolutely. So now we'll go to the upper-lower part of it, and that's where we got Loose Chains, an Iowa team. Chad Pegram, we're going to show you an interview shortly with Chad that George Bliss did, and after that, they're playing Bankroll, so that'll be an interesting game. Bankroll, a mix of younger, older guys, an experienced team in this tournament, and I know they always yell at me, we're not that old, but I think a key for Bankroll is just kind of staying clean as long as they can.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they stay clean longer than they're not that old. Age is just a number. They're not that old. But looking at the bracket, I've never seen Loose Change play, so I really can't comment until I see them play. And F-Town, I've watched them, and they look pretty good. Menace just won Clyde Park yesterday. They beat 40 Deuces, and they put up a lot of runs yesterday. So don't go to sleep on Menace.
Performed a little bit. I kind of thought that they would have a bigger year. They did lose a couple of guys. And so I'm waiting to see the Menace that in my mind.
Park and Francisco, thank you. You ran a great league as always, and look forward to the 2025 season. And hopefully, Obos to be crowned champions. But back to that, Menace looked good yesterday. They looked real good.
Well, I think there's a couple of teams. I saw 10 deep. Rose, and you told me yesterday they played a couple of good ball games.
Very good ball games.
So they've been progressing, and they got some good young talent on that team. Love the shortstop. Love Cordell Irving.
I agree with that.
And, F-Town finished second last year. They went clean. Stover double dipped them. I think all three of those games, winter bracket championship and the two championship games, all three of them were one-run games that came down to like the seventh inning. Snuck past some teams, but I think F-Town's at the point now where they've got enough experience and they know how to win those games. And Jalen Smith, their center fielder, very flashy with the glove. He's about as tall as Brian Koronkowski, maybe a little shorter, and runs as fast or faster than Brian. So he's very fun to watch. So good group of dudes. And for Greg Pegum, who's out there, heard you were under the weather today. Hopefully you're going to be okay this weekend. And moving down that bracket a little bit, we got line drive. Haven't really seen much of them. They had a tough year last year. I don't think you can sleep on traffic. The back end of the year, they've been playing some great softball. They've been in every ball game, and they've won some games. They look great in the Melrose tournament. I think they finished second in the AB division. They lost to the Fat Kids. And I think that Nicky Gatta's doing a real good job of bringing along what was a pretty young and inexperienced team. Savage has got a very good roster. If I had to pick 5-6 teams to keep an eye on that might, really make a long run, they'd be one of them. A lot of Southside guys on that team. Julian Gutierrez's brother Tommy runs it, so that should be.
He's not playing, is he?
Not Julian.
Oh, thank you. All right, a little worried. Okay.
Yeah, but I think they're going to be a load. And then we got kind of a neighborhood tussle. Yak Bombers and Born Divine.
The Washington Park game.
Yeah, and Love Rio comes every year. Love talking to him. I think he does a nice job. They upgraded a little bit this year, so I think this is the year Yak Bombers might win a couple of games in the tournament.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yak Bombers has taken a snail's pace, but they are moving towards winning. And so the Yak Bomber and Born Divine game will be an interesting game. I like Born Divine a lot. They have a lot of team speed and they hit timely and the outfield is fast. So Born Divine, I'm going to go on the limb. I'm going to take them to come out this quarter of the bracket. Sorry guys, I don't put.
Well, it could happen. It could happen because I love well-dressed teams.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna move on to our interview with Greg Pegum. And George Bliss is going to be bringing that along right now, so I'll click over to George's camera.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
everybody. George Bliss here on SSA Broadcast. We have a special little addition today. Big Chad Pegump is on the line with us on our pre-show for the big Carroll Stream tournament coming on this year. Chad, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, my man. How you been, George?
Great. Now, your team is, of course, Loose Chains, and you're going to go against Matt Dozen's bankroll team to kick it off. Are you guys ready?
I mean, we're just there to have some fun. I'm trying to show these young guns what a national tournament's all about and try to get some exposure to them to play with the big guys and not just around here all the time, and they're excited to be there. They're super excited. We got a bunch of young kids that are, willing to put the work in for this game, and they're really enjoying what we've came up with in the last 2 or 3 years, as building this team together.
Well, we have some beautiful weather this weekend. The fields at Carroll Stream are all new AstroTurf, so that should be good for you guys, right?
Yeah, that'll be a new experience. Most of my guys got some experience playing on AstroTurf in the 14-inch state tournament this last weekend at Prospect Meadows in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Speaking of state, you guys have already taken a third place in state, correct?
Yeah, we got a third in the A state. Came up short on a couple games. Sunday morning for them was the big eye opener. They ain't made it to Sunday before, and we came out a little sluggish the first couple innings, and then we fought back and lost a close 5-6 ball game Sunday morning. So it was that was a good experience, and that's when we kind of made up our mind that, you know, we played well this weekend. We had a few mishaps that if we clean them up, we're right there with some pretty good teams in the state of Iowa, you know, for the most part. So
You're looking at the big boss of Loose Chains. So your brother plays big time ball too. Tell us about him.
yeah, so my brother is Greg Pegham with F Town.
They took second last
About
year. Yeah.
They took second in A Nationals last year. Yep, they did a great job. Them boys are balling out right now, man. Ever since last year, them boys have been on one, man. They really have. So me and my brother started a team called Star Bar about 19 years ago in Cedar Rapids. Same kind of scenario where a bunch of young kids just wanted to play softball, man. And we just
Oh, yeah.
started building on it, and then this is where they're at. And like 3 years ago, state tournament, my son was short a couple guys, so I bailed on Star Bar and took on the Loose Chains, man.
Yeah, live from Iowa, you're seeing Big Chad on here for Loose Chains. Chad, you went from 14-inch to 16. Are you ever going back? Are you sticking with 16?
I haven't played 14-inch softball competitively or fun or anything really for the most part for probably
So you're
5
hooked.
years
See,
now.
you're hooked on 16. See,
I am. I mean, I've been playing this game, honestly, George. I've been playing 16-inch softball like 20. This is my 21st year. I started way back in the day with a team called Freno and Sons. Played right field, sucked really bad, and got better and better and better, and played some big ball games in my day.
off the top of your head, nothing specific. Who are some of your players that we'll be looking for this weekend? Your first baseman, second, short center, etc.
Well, you guys all know Jalen Smith from F Town, right? The center fielder. I got his younger brother, Jathan Smith. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy. He's one to watch out for. My whole outfield, man, is just, you know how F Town gets down super fast, can close up the gaps. My guys are right there, man. Every one of them are super fast. So it's just going to come down to making the big plays.
Well, last year Stover won an Iowa team. Second place was an Iowa team. There's no
Yeah.
reason why your team this year cannot be in the finals. There's no reason. I mean, you'll be
Well,
there.
we're just coming there. We're just coming there for the experience, man. This is something that I think that a lot of my guys are excited about. So to get
Right, I lost your audio there for a second. Anyway, listen, we're looking forward for you to coming into Carroll Stream this weekend. We can't wait to see your team, and I wish you the best of luck against our good friend Matt Dozen and the Bankroll team.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, George. Appreciate you.
That's the one and only Chad from Iowa, live on SSA broadcast. Thank you, buddy. We'll see you real soon.
Yes, sir.
Bye now.
Bye.
So we're back. That was Chad Pegram, and of course his brother Greg, character as well. But I think that they're going to be an interesting. Chad took some time out, and George, we recorded that here at Buddy Bear Studios, so we thank Phil for providing the facilities. I think I might have cut the video off before the credits ran. But it was a real nice interview. He took time out, and him and his brother are both characters. If you get a chance, Jerry, to talk to Greg this weekend, funny dude, man, and just real solid. So he does a good job with that team, and being F-Town, and of course Chad does a great job with Loose Chains. So love to see guys that are willing to take younger guys, take them to an event like this, get them that experience, let them see the pomp and circumstance that surrounds it.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the thing that when you have a younger team or an inexperienced team, think they know, they really don't know. And some things they think they know, they don't know. So you have to have patience and constantly build towards the ultimate goal, which is that SSA, a national champion.
Yeah, and we were at Elmhurst, and we put the bunting up and the pennants and the banners, what we were hearing from all the A teams was like, oh my God. Now, some of them had played in baseball tournaments where
Right.
the bond, and, they were like, yeah, this is a tournament. They were like really fired up and excited, and, that's good. That allows them to say, I want more. I want to move like this when they do.
Well, the SSA runs a first-class organization when it comes to tournaments, and everything is done first class first. The new fields at Carroll Street.
That have played there the past several years to be able to, when you show up this year, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is fantastic. This turf normally, it's good for 12, 11 years out of that turf. And, they had patches all over and they got a little grant money. And so they went out there and they redid all of the fields, and it's like state-of-the-art turf. And it's phenomenal. It's just, so I don't know, but the old turf, it was starting to get slow. So it should be very interesting to see people's reactions.
So the ball's going to take off a little faster when it hits the turf, you're saying?
I think the second bounce, when you get that over, see some infielders, catching the ball between their legs instead out front because maybe they didn't anticipate that the ball was going to, hit and bite and skip like that. So, but I think it's going to be good. I don't think we shouldn't see any bad bounces. So they'll adapt to it. They did in the dome.
Oh yeah, big time.
So but I think they're really going to like it. It's really, they did a great job with that turf. So let's move on now. Now we're on that lower part of the bracket, and look who's on top there, the Obols. So Jerry Brown's team, and you guys play Diesels. They finished third in the No Glove A, and they really had a nice weekend up in Schaumburg. So that should be very interesting to see how they do with the mitt. Then you got Green Onions, which has some of the older traffic guys on there, Billy Bledsoe and Conley, and they got some younger kids. So one of my favorite guys, Billy Walsh, I believe, is going to be pitching for them. He was the guy that always had the hat backwards and the rolled up brim, and Billy, just a terrific guy. So I gotta say, he played on, I think, Mudville in there. But anyways, he should, so that's going to be interesting to see how they perform. And they're playing 10 Deep, who we talked about a little bit earlier, and 10 Deep is starting to play some good softball. I think that's a tall order maybe for Green Onions, but we'll see what happens. And then we got Mitchell's from Iowa playing Bully. Game feeds into Moody Bullies, which is from Iowa.
Bullies.
So should Bullies beat Mitchell's, we'll have Bullies against Moody Bullies.
That'd be the first time in SSA history. Here we go again, making history. Bullies playing bullies.
And then on the bottom, we got Smoking Aces and the Wolfpack. So, the Wolfpack did real well out in Country Club Hills. They ended up winning that tournament. And they're usually very athletic roster. They're another team, I think, that could make some noise. So I think that's going to be a very, very competitive fun. We got this bracket. Haven't really seen Mitchell's or Moody Bullies too much. But there are some teams that in the past. And, like I said, I think Smoking Aces is going to be a tough out. Diesels have shown it. And, you got the Obos.
Obos can't catch on us and go easy on us.
Well, I can tell you, the Obos got the grade 48 managing it, so.
Can't be great. You can't get off the field.
Well,
We got more errors. We got more errors than hits lately. So I'm not going to say. I'm going to just keep going with that and go from there. But I have a question for you.
sure.
Would you, as a manager, would you rather play a team that you don't know or rather play a team that you have history on?
Well, it's a good question. When, back in the day when you would run into, these Iowa teams and you hadn't seen them, to me, I used to tell my guys, hey man, this is like stealing because they don't know you. And yeah, we didn't know them. But I used to tell my guys, man, go with your best hit because your first two at bats, they got no idea.
Right.
And so sometimes that'll help you. If you're playing a team that doesn't know you, you can surprise them. I'll give you a good Midsummer Classic, I believe it was. And after the game, the Chuck guys were talking about the fact that we didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
They were going to hit the ball or what they were going to do. And Goodwill jumped out to a big lead in that game.
Okay.
And Chuck's was trying to come back, but so it never bothered me to play a team. Plus, you were like me back in the day. You would go out and watch a team that you were going to play, and you kept the book. I did the same thing. So I tried to get a handle on it. And most teams, when they come in, they play their game. They go to the concession stand. They grab. We should maybe go eyeball that game. And one of the guys that I really loved a lot, played with me, was Tony Krachensky. He's in the Hall of Fame. He came to our team, his last few years that he played. And Tony used to always get our left fielder. I mean, when he played left field, he had like a mental checklist of every hitter, what they do when they cut, when they drive. And, but he used to, tell our center fielder, hey, the guy's got to tell, he does this, he does that. He'd tell the right fielder, look, if he's coming there, you got to look for this. So, if you go and you watch a team, you can pick stuff up. And sometimes it's good history because you beat them. Sometimes it's bad history. So just kind of, you never want to play a team that owns you.
No.
So I liked playing teams that we hadn't seen because it was kind of a little bit of a mystery sometimes. But
okay.
So
towards your way, I'd rather play a team that I haven't played before. And hopefully I can take advantage of something.
Well, but I also think, Jerry, that's part of the fun of this particular event. There are so many teams that just play in this event. So they're not out there in Clyde or Melrose or Forest Park, and they're not just wasted talent. You look at Green Onions, you look at some of these teams, right, and they're unknowns.
They can play.
Right, and so as a result of that, sometimes that levels the playing field a little bit, the fun. You want to play new teams. You don't want to play the same teams. Unfortunately, having to give like the Iowa teams, Friday games, like Mitchell's could run into bullies, and that's going to happen when you have
traveling teams.
Have to put them on a Friday. If some of these teams would have said, hey, we'll come in on a Thursday, that would have been okay. They might not have, they're not going to draw an Iowa team.
Right.
But, and again, we blind draw everything. So it's just, like they say, luck of the draw. So that's going to take us to the final quarter of the bracket. We've got 40 Deuce against Trash Pandas.
That's going to be that's going to be a great game right there.
Yeah, no secrets. They know each other.
Yep.
And Sub City from Iowa playing the Playmakers.
Playmakers did real well in the B.
They did. They really competed hard there. We got Punch from Iowa, and Punch has got a nice roster too. They might be one of those teams that is capable of making a run. They got a lot of power. They can really drive the ball. But this is 300. It's not 255.
Big difference.
Big difference. So we'll see what happens there. And then you got the Fat Kids, who everybody thinks is like the runaway favorite. I'm not really that sure that they're a runaway favorite. I think they're a very good team, solid A team, but they haven't shown us yet that they can get over the hump and win a tournament of this magnitude yet. They did win in Clyde, but that was an AB bracket, it was open roster. So we'll see how the Fat Kids do. They certainly have the talent and the
Yes, they do.
ability. And of course, Angelo Feliciano threw a perfect game earlier this summer. So he's
Not against Obos.
not against Obos on that day. And he didn't even know he had a perfect game until like the game was over.
Oh, wow.
So he got locked in pretty good. And of course, we got West Side Outlaws. I think Emmanuel's doing a great job with that team. And I think the thing that drives Emmanuel a little crazy is getting him to the park. And I think if he's got his full squad out, that's a team where I think if the Fat Kids,
Stumble.
go to sleep on them,
Yeah.
they might get bit.
Yeah, that would be one of those games. If you look at the name, hopefully you don't play the name, you play the game. So West Side Outlaws have a nice roster of young players if they show up, and they have a couple of seasoned veterans. So I would not look past the name, and I would play the game. And the thing about the Goons, they only had 10 people.
Yeah,
And those guys played about 5 or 6 games in a row, and the center fielder got hurt, if I recall correctly, against Board Divine.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
And they kind of went, so guys, bring an extra player or two. I think you guys can make a great run.
Good in the beat.
Yeah, they did.
And I got to tell you, for the most part, I think the competition level at the B has been getting better every year.
Yeah.
And, we were a little disappointed. Funk won it, and they're not going to be here this week. Looking at this bracket, I think it's a good competitive bracket. Some of the teams you might think are going to have good runs, they're kind of separated a little bit. So we don't see a bracket where, like, you have the Fat Kids and, I guess punches more. Obviously, in the winner's bracket, after your first game, you might run into a good team. I mean, that's any tournament. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend. And, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll wrap it up, Jerry. Wanted to show a couple of graphics. One is, of course, our sponsors. We always talk about supporting the people that support 16-inch softball. They're the reason why we can do what we do and why we can keep the costs down, and we can do preview shows, run these great tournaments. So when you come out to the park, take a look at the banners, make sure that you're making mental notes. So if you need any of those products or services, make sure you give them a call, tell them you saw it through the SSA, and, support these individuals. So the first graphic, Sweet Buzz and Gold Rush Gaming are 2 anchor partners for the Chicago Summer Series. And of course, we got the final event coming up Labor Day weekend for that down in Joliet. And we'll be back after we get the draw, and we'll be doing a preview show, probably tied in with our post-tournament, maybe a little bit, we'll see. So we'll be back to handicap that a little bit and talk about it. And we'd also like to mention again, we have, trying to get this graphic up.
Never mind.
We were going to show you the Buddy Bear logo, but for some reason the other phone isn't connecting. So we'll come back, we'll wrap it up. What are your thoughts? You got any favorites? You got any?
The game I would like to see, it's like 2 or 3 games. I want to see the LBCS Los Borrachos versus Future. I want to see Loose Change versus Bankroll. And I think I want to come to that. But
Okay, well, I think F-Town Menace is going to be a real good
oh, I
game.
missed that one.
And I think that, it's going to be kind of interesting. I think there are some good games here that are going to be interesting to watch. And especially are going to be pretty compelling. And I think that it should be a lot of fun. And so please make plans, come on out. Don't be dismayed if we get a little rain. We're anticipating we're going to be playing. Of course, Saturday is supposed to be really nice. Good temperature, low humidity, and the softball is going to be very good. So, any final thoughts, Jer?
Yeah, this young and old, so come on out and be nice to the coaches that's already coaching them. And it should be a great time. I look forward to seeing everybody.
And let's be civil towards our umpires. Big dugouts, stay in the dugouts. 30 minutes before game time, make sure you come to the tent for the coin toss. If you're not there, the other team is going to get the lineup cards, first, last name, uniform numbers, and positions. We are doing the game changer. It's important that we get that stuff right, especially when we do the all-tournament teams, MVP, etc. So, on behalf of SSA Broadcast, George Bliss, Jerry Brown, we'll see you this weekend. Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you.